Landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. Whoa! Jesus, Dr. Pepper Christ, don't sneak up on me like that. Wow! But do me a favor and hit that like button or your favorite sports ball guys will lose their match. And let's take a look at the second cheapest knife on Amazon. So, let's take a look at what we're holding because it's protocol. It'll bother you if I don't, and you know I spoil you. And first things first, and importantly, the pocket clip is tipped down. And I hate tip down, but we all live in sin. We have got these aluminum scales here. We have got an assisted opener with a flipper tab, so let's flick the bean. And 3 inches of steel? They don't identify the steel. They're not going to. So, this was $3.99 on Amazon. This was a replacement because I like to do the cheapest knife I can find on Amazon that, has a pocket clip and would serve as an actual EDC knife. I like doing that. The last one I did was quite dangerous and it cut me very badly. It was a terrible design and I shouldn't have bought it. I thought I could get away with it, but I didn't. So I went to buy the cheapest knife on Amazon to replace it. That one, the listing wouldn't disappear and get replaced by something else. So I said, screw it, I'll get the second cheapest one. That first one was $3. This was $3.99. So all that out of the way. I did carry this for several days. And I was reminded why I don't like carrying tip down. It's annoying to me. It's incredibly annoying. I don't like having to pull things out of my pocket and then fumble to flip them over to open them. I genuinely don't like it. I have been spoiled rotten by the luxury of tip up carry. And I don't feel like there's a safety issue with tip up because tip up, it's pressed against the hem of your pocket like this. It's not going to open. And if it does open, it's cutting your pocket. It's not cutting you, most likely. So all that out of the way, let's flick the bean again. We carried this. It did okay. It did okay outside of being a tip down carry. All other facets, it was okay enough. But we went to do Cardboard Slayer with it. And, it wound up, no cardboard was slain. I did a couple of cuts with it, and those cuts were god-awful. We tested it on the scale, and we got 311. 311 grams of pressure needed to cut through the wire on the calibrated test clip. We did a few cuts. It was not having it, so I figured we'll just sharpen it and go from there. That is where our tale of misery and sorrow starts. Gah! So, something that's worth noting. This used to have a very aggressive recurve on it, or at least a fairly aggressive one. Like, it used to be as far back here as the heel is, and if you can see, it's no longer as far back as the heel is. Because it was a recurve, I broke out the little kin onion belt grinder and sharpened it on the slack belt, and I pulled up a nice, large, proud, healthy burr, went through all the stages of polishing, and stropped it. It still wasn't sharp. It still wasn't sharp. We hit like a 362. So I figured I got something wrong. And I went back, I broke the grinder back out, I went back through it again, I felt to make sure I had a burr, went through all that, went through all the strops, polished it back up again, and got a 462. It would not sharpen on that grinder. So I broke out my 4-sided sharpening stone and started working on learning how to sharpen a recurve on a stone. Using the corner of the stone, I cut in right here along this part and laid it down along the flat as I went, and I got a pretty decent looking edge out of it. I got the burr, I polished it, I did all the things you're supposed to do. It still was hitting the 400s on the scale. It would not cut paper at all. So I stropped it again thinking maybe there was still a burr because it's hand sharpening and I'm still learning how to do that, and it didn't help. So we got the Work Sharp Precision Adjust out, and I really hogged material off. Like I said, we removed so much material, and I hogged material off until I felt the burr. I made sure I felt the burr. I worked both sides of it repeatedly to make sure I was really getting down in there, maybe past some burnt steel. On the second, like on 220 grit, I ran this thing ragged. On the 320, I went through both sides several times to make sure I felt the burr. And then on the 400 grit, same thing again, 600, 800, I kept feeling a slight burr. So we finished with 800, went to ceramic, and then I polished it on the strops as thoroughly as I could. And it was still in the 400s. And that was the thing too, is I wanted to learn how to, make the precision adjust with the flat stones. I wanted to work on making it sharpen a recurve. And I don't know how well what I did would work because this thing won't sharpen. I even got a pull through for Christmas, and I tried that. I tried to pull through out of desperation. That didn't do it. I broke out the diamond rod for serrations and just pushed along like I've done with a chainsaw file on other knives to get at least a working edge on it out in the field. That didn't do it. Nothing I did, no matter how much material I hogged off, would sharpen this thing. Whoever quenched this must have used old, expired Dr. Pepper and hatred. Like, I know the heat treatment is just not here. I know it. Like, or it's a good heat treatment and they found 1CR2 MOV steel, but whatever they used on this, it is god awful. Like, I kept sharpening it and kept sharpening it and kept sharpening it. And like, you don't lay the bevel that far back without hogging off a bunch of material to begin with. And again, this was a much more noticeable, distinct recurve before we started. Like, you can see how far it used to go. If there was burnt steel, we should have gotten past that and then some. There's just no heat treatment here. There is no heat treatment. Like, we have had bad knives, because I do like occasionally playing with trash. I like looking to see if maybe there's a $10 knife out there that's actually surprisingly good for a $10 knife. Trying to find, basically, I've spent a lot of time trying to find this. Before I found this, I was trying to find an example similar to this, something that does the same thing this does. And we're still looking to find our next one. I do like looking at these cheap knives and finding stuff that guys like you and I can afford without having to worry about, well, that's $50 that I don't have right now. Maybe I can save up for a while. A $15 knife that does great, it's going to be held back because it's $15, but, you can find some stuff that actually does really good. So this is not a case of local idiot surprised that cheap knife is cheap. I am just surprised that it cannot be sharpened, apparently. Between one of those 5 different ways I tried to sharpen it, something should have gotten it, especially after we were on like our 6th attempt to sharpen it and we hogged off this much material. This should be at least sort of sharp. But we got nothing out of it. We got nothing. Just, that's the best cut we got out of this. We got some that were close to this good last night when we did the live stream, but yeah, it just will not sharpen up. I'm a little gobsmacked. Like, this is definitely in the Hall of Shame now, and this is like way down at the bottom of the pack in the Hall of Shame. Like, this is some champion material right here. Oh man, but I needed to share that with y'all. I needed to share that mind-blowingly bad experience with you. This is kind of the gamble you take when you buy cheap crap. And, like, let's see if we can catch it. You can kind of see right there, focus, how much side-to-side blade play we get. And this pivot's been tightened down a couple times, too. Like, it kept getting loose while I was sharpening it. This is the gamble that you take when you buy trash. All right? Sometimes the trash is fun, and it works well enough to justify existing. And then you have stuff like this where there are no redeeming qualities. There are none. Like, I hate to say it, but I would strongly consider carrying a Smith & Wesson before I carried this. I would. I would carry a Smith & Wesson before I carried this. Those are some harsh words. You have no idea how harsh they are. I would carry a Smith & Wesson willingly before I carried this. So, that is all of the ugliness hiding in this horrifying little package. Just had to share that with you. I'm not one to suffer alone. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at actual crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We've got our live streams. We got regular videos. There's plenty of activities. Comments. I love some feedback. Let me have it. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.